Hello and welcome back to another video on the F1 Journal, and today we are looking at Lewis Hamilton and what next for him in his F1 career. For me, Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, maybe should be 8-time world champion, probably should be 8-time world champion, but there we go, is, most wins, most poles, most podiums, most pretty much everything, the greatest driver of all time in my eyes. But at the moment he kind of finds himself at a bit of a career crossroads. What does he do next in his career? Obviously, Mercedes for the last 2 years, after being so cruelly denied the 2021 title, haven't been able to provide him with a competitive car, to get the 8th World Championship he so desires. So what next for him with his contract at Mercedes expiring at the end of the year? For me, I don't know, there's kind of 3 options maybe, 2 that are much more likely than the other. But yeah, let's look at the one that's maybe probably an unlikely but possible option. And that would be a switch to Ferrari. I mean, it's probably what every F1 driver's dreams about. It's probably what the Tifosi dreamed about, to be honest. The man who's dominated F1 for the last decade, joining them. But yeah, I mean, you look around, is there any other teams except for Ferrari, if he were to leave Mercedes, that he could go to? Red Bull, let's face it, that's not going to happen. Aston Martin, there's not a seat there. And yeah, pretty much any other team is downgrading. Ferrari do have 2 contracted drivers for next year, but with Sainz not really delivering, and, a driver like Lewis Hamilton, to even have him in their team for a season or 2, you feel like it's an opportunity Ferrari would absolutely take. But yeah, for Lewis Hamilton, at a competitive standpoint, it's all about getting his 8th world title now. When you look at Ferrari, all the issues they've had over the last 2 years, yes, they have had probably a more competitive car than Mercedes, but all the issues that come with it, only just beating Mercedes last year, behind Mercedes so far this year. I don't know, it's a team that hasn't won a title for so long. If you were Lewis Hamilton at 38 years old, would you really think that's a more likely option of winning a title than Mercedes? I would say probably not, which is why I think it's unlikely. So I think it comes down to 2 main options for Hamilton, which is either A, stay at Mercedes, or B, retire. And he said a few weeks ago to Sky Sports F1, lie detector, so it must be true, that he will not leave F1 until he wins his 8th world title. Obviously that's going to be true after the point. To the point he's still competitive. I fully believe that. He wants it so badly. He feels it was robbed from him. And yeah, he probably is right in feeling that way. Hamilton, I just don't think he'll retire at the end of the season, which is why I think he will commit to Mercedes for maybe another year or 2. And if Mercedes can't deliver him a car, maybe it will be time for him to depart F1, or maybe it will be time for him to kind of try elsewhere, as Toto Wolff has already suggested. But in the short term, Mercedes changing their concepts, hopefully that gets them closer to Red Bull. We've seen what that can do for a team like Aston Martin. And Mercedes, obviously, probably a bigger team, a team that has won many championships over the last decade. We can't forget that. It's still one of the greatest teams in F1 history. For me, you back them to get back to the top eventually. Whether it's by next year, fingers crossed for Hamilton it is. Maybe this year's probably unrealistic, but for next year, Hamilton will be hoping and praying that maybe a year of focusing on that is the right thing to do. He's got an competitive teammate in George Russell, but I feel like on Hamilton still in his best, in the title charge, he could defeat George Russell. So I think Hamilton will stay at Mercedes for another year or 2 and give it one last shot to win his world title. But anyway, guys, that's it video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, no thoughts, comments, and F1 show for daily F1 news and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.